Hey, what's up, y'all? Happy Wednesday. Happy noon. Happy hump day, I guess. Is that still a thing? Hump day? Are we still doing that? I'm not sure. So, what's up, Alexander? Hope everyone's having a good day. Um yeah, I slept like crap last night, but it's all right. We're here. So, let me grab some tea while I wait for everybody to ask your questions. I got some in the in Slack. If you guys are a little slow on the uptake, and we'll see how long this goes. This goes till it ends, I guess. English breakfast today. All right, we'll start off with one from the guild. And let's see who asked this one. Yorick asked, "What happened to the game day around the world?" Nothing happened to it. The winner, James M, down in Tennessee, changed jobs and is moving across the state. So we're waiting for him to get settled in the new town of Memphis. And when he does, going to be making a trip down to Memphis, which I'll be honest, Nashville would have been cool. I would have enjoyed that trip. Memphis, however, is home to what I feel is the single greatest barbecue pulled pork sandwich on the planet, which is at Interstate Barbecue, Memphis, Tennessee. So the fact that that I'm going to go to Memphis to be able to play games and get some Interstate Barbecue, I'm good with that. So there you go. We're going to be doing a drawing probably before, either right before or right after Essen for the second one for this year. But nothing we can do about life changes on someone else's end. So just got to be considerate for that. And so, yeah, that's what's going on. So there we go. All right. So let's see. What's the next one? Also from Slack. Eric, how's poker been going? It's been going pretty well, I think overall. I actually brought up my app to answer this question. So since I have done my little challenge to myself, and that challenge is only playing 1-3, no limit. Taking 1,000, running it up to 10,000 is the goal before I move up to 2.5. I have the chops to be able to play 2.5, but I don't have, the sustainable bankroll to be able to do so anymore. So since that, it's been about 3.5 weeks or so. We put in 79, just under 79 hours, and making just right at $42 an hour so far. You guys can figure out the math at that point, and yeah, that includes the big trip to Vegas. So that's strictly 1-3, which is all I've been playing. Doesn't count the tournament that I entered, the WSOP mini main, stuff like that. If you guys want more details, feel free to ask here. Otherwise, I imagine the majority of folks don't really care about the poker playing, hence why I tweet about that stuff on my own account and not the Heavy Cardboard account. So yeah, if you have more questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, I'd say overall, $42 an hour at 1-3. I mean, it's only 79 hours, so take that for what it's worth. Not a huge sample size yet, but yeah, we're on our way to our goal. So there's that. Let's see. How was the Planet Steam play on game day? I thought it went really, really well. I think as a whole group, we overextended ourselves a bit when it came to building, oh God, what's the term? Generators? The actual main, like, plants. I think we collectively went too heavy on that early on. We're going to stream it at 4 for table space, but also we felt like 4 was pretty good player count. And as I remember it, I thought that was a pretty good player count previously. So we're going to be streaming it at 4 on Saturday? Yeah, Saturday at 3. But overall, went really well. It was everybody's first play except for mine. And I think Shrey had played it once before, maybe. But yeah, overall, went really, really well. I did not do so well, but that's pretty much normal, par for the course. Let's see, what can we talk about with that game? Players definitely saw the importance of being able to switch gears between what they're producing and what they maybe should be producing and how to go about doing that. So I think that'll be interesting. There's a potential that we're going to play it again Saturday before the stream, but I think that we may not as well. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be up to everybody else. But yeah, Planet's theme overall. I mean, there's a reason I asked. I had said I wanted a copy of it and to be able to show it off for folks. So thanks, Vincent, for providing us with the loaner copy of Planet's theme, which is right there. All right. Weathered asks, outside of train games, what's your favorite economy game? Define economy. Like, how, like, frame that a little bit better, a little bit tighter for me, Weathered, and I'll come back to it, okay? I'm working on increasing my poker chops, Jordan says. I've read most of Harrington's book. Any other recommendations for books or general tips for upping my skill? Here's the key to beating 1-3. Or 1-2, depending on where you are, essentially the same game, is value bet till their eyes bleed, bluff far less than you think you should, and almost never call a river raise unless you have the goods. It's almost never a bluff. Players at 1-2 and 1-3 are 99% are not capable of making a river bluff raise. Honestly, don't bluff and value bet. And by don't bluff, I mean, sure, take stabs when the stabs make sense. C-bet less, multi-way. And don't be afraid of giving free cards to extract extra value on later streets. That's pretty much the general suggestions I can give. But the biggest ones are bluff very, very infrequently at 1-2, 1-3, and value bet far thinner than you probably think you should because people will pay you off. So there you go. And never, ever, ever, ever try and make people fold big pairs or big hands at 1-2 or 1-3. It's just you're lighting money on fire. So that would be my biggest suggestion, Jordan. Bluff less, value bet more, and be personable. There you go. All right. John Wheeler, Teotihuacan or Zolkin? That's a really good question. I think it depends on my mood. I like them both quite a bit. Especially Teo with the expansion. I like quite a bit more than the base game by itself. And I enjoyed the base game, but I think the expansion with the asymmetrical powers and the other little modules here and there. Yeah, completely depends on my mood, man. Sorry, I know that's a bit of a cop-out, it feels like, but I would happily play either of them. If it weren't for the needs of the show to be able to play other games and everything, I would ask to play both at various times. You know how some people will say, like, oh, I'd play it, but I'd never ask to play it. Assuming a normal, don't have to worry about the show and I don't have time for other stuff thing, like playing other game type things. If it were just a normal whatever, then yeah, I would definitely bring up both from time to time to play. So, yeah, and that is, I think I would happily play Teotihuacan without the expansion, but I think playing it with the expansion adds enough to where I don't ever see a reason to not play with the expansion. Now, there are some of the modules that I might not. The one module, and I forget their names, but the module that allows you, like, changes one rule for one eclipse period, that would be the one that I probably am not super keen on playing with all the time. I would play with the fourth temple, or the fourth temple, and I would definitely play with the asymmetrical powers. And I'll be honest, I have never played the expansion of Zulkin. I've had it for years, but I've never gotten around to play it. So here's a question for you, John. Have you played the expansion of Zulkin, and what do you think about it? NBO, boy, these are so hard questions. NBO asks, what are your top 5 Gen Con releases you want to add to your collection? So here's the problem with asking me specifically this question. And, first world problems, yada, yada, yada. You know how this goes, right? So I have City of the Big Shoulders. I have Pipeline. So how about this? Let me completely not answer your question and make my own question to answer. That's horrible, I realize, but maybe this might be a better way to word this, okay, for me, because of my unique position being media in the industry, fill in the right words. You know what I'm saying, right? I'm currently going into my my Gen Con list, so give me just a second here. I have to go into Google Docs. A moment. All right. So I'm going to eliminate Barrage. Let me go through my list real quick. Pipeline, Teotihuacan expansion, and City of the Big Shoulders. All of those are eliminated. All those would top my list. How's that? Okay. So outside of those, I think the better question might be, what 5 games pique my interest the most? Oh, I also would have to include Sierra West in that because I already have that. And yeah, I think that's it. All right. So games I am most kind of curious, and keep in mind, it's not a Gen Con. Not all these are Gen Con releases. Some of these are demos, but in no particular order, alphabetical. Safer for me. Crystal Palace sounds really interesting to me from Essen Spiel. So that would be there. I think Foothills from Lookout, which is Tony Boydell's game. That looks really interesting. There's not a lot of write-up on Foundations of Rome. Good news, we're going to be getting a copy as soon as Gen Con's over, a prototype of Foundations of Rome. So maybe. The Through the Ages, New Leaders and Wonders, but that kind of doesn't count because that's just extra cards, but an expansion for one of my favorite games. Be Lives, We Will Only Know Summer. That would be up there. Black Angel's gotten a lot of buzz, so I'm curious about that one. Probably this is more curiosity than anything because of the subject matter, but I would put Cartographers, a role-player tale. I mean, it's not really we're not talking Edward from Heavy Cardboard. We're just talking Edward, right? So I like cartography, so that kind of interests me. Dark Domains is up there. Shobu, even though I've seen that, I've yet to play it. That would be another one. And Watergate, which I haven't played yet either. So there you go. That's that would be some of my list. I hope that wasn't completely and totally dancing around the question. I thought that might be a better way to put it. How's that? Quantum Jack, any chance at Magic Realm getting an appearance on heavy cardboard? There would have to be two, maybe. That answers your question. Now I will expand on that. I've been bad about this lately. What is up with my pop filter? There we go. Two prerequisites would have to happen. One, either I would need a copy of Magic Realm, or I would need to know somebody that has a copy of Magic Realm. So that's prerequisite number one. Prerequisite number two, I would need somebody with a fairly extensive amount of experience to be on the stream with us, because I am never going to play that game enough to be able to truly run that game. Yeah. So those two prerequisites would need to be met before the answer goes from a maybe to a yes. I hope that answers your question, Quantum Jack. Vincent, did you play nice or mean or get mean regarding Planet Steam? The big thing, we played with a variant that we're not going to play with on the stream where you can't move the generators, and that made it difficult for difficult's sake. None of us really felt like we got anything. It just made the game harder, but not more enjoyable. So it did get kind of mean as far as the market manipulation, but that's to be expected with this group. So there you go. Sean, have you gotten to play Chicago 1920 from What's Your Game? I haven't heard from What's Your Game since Christ was a corporal. I haven't heard from them forever. So no, I have not, unfortunately. So since the last time anyone asked about what's up with Brazil and the Madeira Kickstarter, I haven't heard from them. So you know as much as I do. So unfortunately, I don't know anything on that. Yeah, Jordan, just stop bluffing. Take stabs, fine. Stop bluffing. And yeah. That's the best advice. Is there a movie you think has done poker really well? I mean, the obvious go-to would be Rounders, right? Even if some of it is Hollywood, but I think that's reasonable. I think that's more. One of my favorite scenes of the entire movie is that, because it's so real, and it's so spot on, and it's completely like overlooked, is the scene where Matt Damon goes down to Atlantic City and he sits in a game and he knows everybody at the table because it's everybody, all the regs from the card rooms that he plays in. Like, oh, I'm so glad we made this trip to play together here. We could have just stayed at home and done that there. That I think is the funniest scene of the entire movie, because I can relate to that completely. But yeah, I would have to say Rounders. And it doesn't really hit on how dark mentally you can go when you go into a downswing, a real big downswing. I wish they would have done, but again, that's not the focus of the movie. And Worm's character is kind of, there are definitely people like that out there, but those are the exception to the rule. But yeah, I would have to say Rounders. Just and again, I feel like that's a cop-out because that's the obvious choice. But most poker movies are really bad. I mean, really bad. And live tells are really overrated, because I'm sure that I give off involuntary tells at the table, but I also very much give off intentional reverse tells. And I don't think it matters. I think hand reading is far is 95% far more important than ever reading a live tell. There are a couple of things that you can pick up with, but everybody is different. And I've tried to play little games with myself in my head while I'm at the table. Be like, oh, he just did this. Oh, I think that means that. And then within a matter of a couple of minutes, nope. That's completely wrong. Nope. The one tell that I would say is fairly consistent, but not always. Everything is always, take with a grain of salt, is if a recreational player tends to stare at the board and stare at the flop immediately and just kind of stares at it, even if they blink, but they're staring at it, usually means they either missed or don't like it. Usually. Again, usually. So there you go. Any hints for what will be live streamed next week? Jason Wayne Spiker? S. JWS. Have you talked to Level 99 Games? Imperial, I assume, is what you're alluding to, Jason. And no, I haven't, but I need to today. Well, here, I'll leave it up to all of y'all out here. So how many of you are there? All right, the 60 of y'all out there. Do you want me to give a couple of titles that we're going to be streaming next week, or do you want to be completely surprised during the weekly? No, I'm actually not even going to bring it up during the weekly look ahead. You're going to have to watch a separate one on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, one or the other, stream that's specific to the live streaming through Gen Con. But since you asked, I will leave it up to you guys. You guys vote. Yes means tell you some of them. No means don't. And be surprised. So I will leave the vote up to you right now. Here, for those that don't know, here is the plan for next week. We are going to be live streaming. I think we have one live stream that isn't a part of this earlier in the week. I think we're going to be doing Beta Colony beforehand. I think. I'm not sure. But starting on Wednesday or Thursday, we are not going to Gen Con. And the reason for that is decided, you know what? This sounds like a really fun idea, and it's less expensive. Traveling to Gen Con, going to Gen Con is prohibitively expensive. The hotel is insane cost. The flight there, then you got to be there for 6 days. There's a ton of, it's not my favorite convention to go to. Plus, it's just really expensive. So the idea literally popped into my head one day, and I ran it by Jess, and I ran it through some of the folks of the game group, and they thought it was a really cool idea. So it became a thing. And what we're doing, starting on Wednesday or Thursday of next week, we are going to live stream through Gen Con from here at the studio. What does that mean? I've reached out to me and Jess, actually, she definitely helped with this, reached out to a number of publishers. And we are going to live stream full teach and playthroughs, mostly, I think, of games that are debuting at Gen Con or games that are only available as demo at Gen Con for all of y'all that aren't going to Gen Con. We thought that would be cooler than us going to Gen Con ourselves. So why not have the games come to us and then we can show them to all of y'all? And I realized that like BGG does their previews of everything, which is awesome. And I absolutely watch that when you're not watching our streams. However, we have 10 or 11, maybe 12 games that we're going to do live streams for over the course of those 4 or 5 days. And we thought that would be a really cool way to bring Gen Con to you guys while Gen Con's going on, so you feel a part of it. Anyway, might be a dumb idea, but I thought that was pretty cool. So that's what we're doing. There you go. Okay. So now let me catch up. I will mark where Jason's question is, and I will go see what people said. Titles, yes. Should be a surprise. Yes. Yeah. Wow. You guys are terrible at surprises. All right. So here's what we will do. I am not going to give away all of them. I will give away a portion of them. That said, if you do not want to know and you want to be surprised next week, mute now. And when I point, hold on. When I point back at you like this, I'll give a thumbs up. That means you can unmute, okay? Okay, so mute now. So I'll do this for the lip readers out there. So a handful of games that we are going to be live streaming next week. Echoes, First Continent, Black Angel, Dark Domains. There you go. That's a handful of them, okay? Cool. Alexander asks, you once said you weren't a fan of 1830. Correct. Has your recent play of 89 given you the will to retry 1830? I didn't need that. I was going to do it anyways because I have warmed up to the limited tile lays that are in 1830. I realize that is a feature of the game. It's still not my favorite. I will play 1830, but yeah. And I'm sure we will eventually stream it. I think it's interesting that Efka and Elaine over on MPI, no pun included. Hi, guys. Efka's been reading the rules to 1830. I think that's cool. I'm excited to see their thoughts on it. Okay. Doubling back to Weathered's question. Economy as in cash management or any game that doesn't get measured in victory points. Not called poker. So I'm going to omit any 18xx-ish type games, or any train games in general, like Winsome's, Cube Lane game, you get the idea. I'll omit all of those. That also includes games like City of the Big Shoulders. Container's got to be up there, right? Indonesia would have to be up there. Neue Heimat would have to be up there. Masters of Venice would have to be up there. I think that's a pretty good list. I mean, Age of Steam, but again, I'm trying to avoid the train games. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. Not probably a terribly shocking list if you're a fan of this show and you've been listening to me for any number of years. Probably not a surprise on any of those. Meeple Overboard talking about the Zolkin expansion says it's good but not amazing. The variable player powers are excellent, but I don't love the prophecies. They make an already tight game even tighter and doesn't make it more fun. As you guys know, if there's anybody out there that enjoys a tight economic or tight decision space, it'd be me, along with a plethora of y'all. However, kind of like in Planet Steam, like I was talking about earlier, the not being able to move the plants or the generators, I forget the actual term, and Vincent can correct me on that, made it harder, but not really any more enjoyable. So I don't know that adds anything to it. So I can completely relate to that. So noted about the expansion. John says, haven't played the expansion for either Zolkin or Teo, but love Teo. Good deal. Nice. Tiago, will I be at Essen this year? I'll be at Essen every year, barring some kind of malady that would keep me from doing so. Knock on wood. The meetup is going to be Friday at Fitzpatrick's. I think it's 7 or 8 p.m. I forget which time. Every year. It's the biggest and arguably best meetup of the year that we have. And yeah, I would show up early if you want a seat. Yes, I will definitely be at Essen. Where? I don't know yet. I still don't have a hotel. Hoping for a room to open up at the Atlantic. And I don't know where my base of operations is going to be yet. Since Asmodee bought ADC Blackfire. So I don't know what's going on yet. With Essen, I do know that I will be there with bells on. Hi, Ashbjorn. Hi, Camille. Hello, everyone. Adam, glad you're feeling better. I hope your trip went or is going well. I'm not sure which that is, but whichever, insert there. Thoughts on the new import-export Kickstarter? I hope it does well. I like Jordan. Jordan's good people. Plus, I've heard that it's container-esque, and making it available in a deluxe version for those that want such a thing. There's no downside. If you don't want it, don't buy it. If you do, buy it. Yeah, I hope it does well. I'm excited to see how it does. Boja70. Hi, Edward. I just played Noggin and Nog. I'm not that excited. It feels rather samey. What am I doing wrong? Are you holding your mouth right? Step 1. Step 2, what do you mean by feels samey? Help me out. Expand upon that a bit. And it's been a while since I've played it, but everybody that I know personally that played it really enjoyed it. But yeah, explain to me what you mean by feels samey. Sean asks, what are your thoughts on Once We Move Like the Wind? Been looking at the Kickstarter. I ain't got a clue. I don't know. I will take a look. Oh, Compass. The subject matter is interesting. The Apache War, 1861 to 1886. That's definitely interesting to me. And a block war game. Definitely intrigued by this. Low complexity, it looks like. Just on the surface, it looks like a relatively simple, it's a war game, but relatively simple block war game with some interesting bits. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So there you go. Luke, so how common is what I've seen Daniel Negreanu do, i.e., I think you've got kings when his opponent has kings, and how useful is that as a psych out? Highly, highly overrated. There are some that are very, very good at that. But I'll be honest, once you get until you get into higher stakes games, completely unnecessary, and you should never. I mean, obviously, when you get to a certain level, I hesitate to use the word term or the term never, ever. But putting people on a range of hands and putting your actions on a range of hands and what you're representing with that range of hands and adjusting based on each other, their actions and your actions to their actions, going levels deep. That is far, 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 far more important and a more accurate description of things than trying to put somebody on an exact hand. That is more often than not a fool's errand and will lose you money in the long run. So I would not recommend it. So to answer your question, there are people that talk and say, oh, you got this or that, whatever. They're usually not very good players. Ranges of hands. That's what you should be putting your opponents on, and based on their actions, adjusting that range accordingly and hopefully shrinking that range. Oh, they're tanks. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, in Planet Steam. Right. My bad, Vincent. Thanks. Have not played 2038 Tycoons of the Asteroid Belt, Vincent. But the good news is we have Joe Huber, and that's Joe Huber's favorite game. And he said he is willing to come teach it and run the game on stream. So that would be awesome. When? Not putting any time late. He travels a lot for work. So when we're able to is when that will happen. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are excited at the idea of this live streaming through Gen Con. The thing that I would ask to help us is just spread the word about it. I'm going to be posting about it on social media and in the guild later on this week. And I will be hosting a live stream talking about what it is we're doing on the eve of doing so. That will have the exact schedule laid out. Yeah, so help us spread the word about it. That's what you and actually watch them live, because that'll help us stay motivated, because that's a lot of live streams in not a lot of days. So that would be really, really cool if you guys join us for those. Brad asks, how close to a PTZ camera? That number you see behind me has to get to 800 for a PTZ camera. So by my simple math, that looks like 56 patrons away. So how close are we? We're 56 patrons away. All right. So I will get back to the Slack channel where I have a couple more questions. Junaid asked about Gen Con and games I'm excited. Kind of already touched on that. Simon, any plans on doing more recorded 18xx with the experts? If they're down for it, absolutely. And everybody seemed to enjoy it. But keep in mind, that crew are very good at 18xx games in general. However, 1846 very much is their pet game. So I don't know that you would ever get that level of what you saw. But yeah, absolutely, I would be down for that. I think that would be awesome. And the response has been overwhelmingly positive, which somewhat surprised me pleasantly. So that was cool to see. So yeah, the response was good, so I would like to do so. Adam asks, what's your opinion on the coin series? I've heard that you're not very keen on the games. I haven't played a ton of them, let's be honest. I've played it probably half a dozen times between a number of the titles. And in my limited experience, the reason I am not super keen in general on the coin series is because of the fact that it feels like you get one shot. I feel like it's an Eminem song here. You get one shot, and if you swing and miss, you're screwed. That might not be the case with experience. I understand that. I'm saying that has been my experience thus far with inexperienced players, myself being one of them. And that just, for as long as they are, I haven't really warmed to them, mostly because of that, I think. And just the lack of being able to get into the games just due to time constraints and stuff. But I would totally be down with giving it a fair shake and hearing that I'm wrong and experiencing it more and seeing what obviously a whole lot of people see in those games. So I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just telling you what my experience has been and why. So there's that. All right, good. It sounds like especially the folks across the pond are excited about this live streaming through Gen Con. Plus, you guys get a chance to go to your FLGS or whatever to be able to say, hey, go order these games, this game and this game. I just saw a live stream of it, and I want you to order it ahead of when you would normally be able to get it if you're not attending the convention. So we thought it was a pretty cool idea. I'm glad that it seems to have a small sample size, positive response so far, but good. Now just come watch them. Yeah, and the 46 stream, that was great. Oh, not stream, I guess, the recording, the playthrough of it. I was really nervous about it, especially playing with that group. But as you guys saw, each one of us spent some time thinking about our moves, and nobody was rushed. And we still finished, I think, in under 2 hours, the actual play of it, which I didn't, I mean, I knew it was possible from having talked to these guys, but having been a part of it now, I was like, oh, yeah. Obviously, not having to reference the rule book, stuff like that helps. And the spreadsheet, obviously. I was totally anti-spreadsheet. I'll be completely honest with you guys. Until then. Now I'm all on board with that because that was amazing. That was really cool. A moment. All right, where am I? Meeple Overboard. Edward, what mic are you currently using? And what do you use for live streams? This here is the Cadillac of studio mics. It is the Electro Voice RE20. And to the best of my knowledge, and I did a lot of trial and error and research, this literally is the best microphone for a studio that money can buy for spoken word that isn't singing, stuff like this. Basically podcasts, live streams, things like this. Yeah. NPR, ESPN radio, basically every major serious studio probably uses the RE20. So this is it. I have 3 of them for podcast recording. And yes, read down below. The podcast is coming back Monday. Yes. It's been a nice break, I'll be honest, from the podcast, but I'm excited to get back into it. And I hope you guys are excited to hear it as well. So cool. And then what mics do we use for the live streams? Right here. These. They're not wireless. They are Shure SM93s. I did a fair bit of research. I'm less enamored with those mics than I am these. These are as good as it gets. Yeah. But the SM93s are good. Mic placement is very important on those, though. So there's that. All right, take care, Luke. Get some sleep. Oh, I missed this. Justin, wanted to thank you for the teach and playthrough of Expedition Zeta. It helped me make a decision on buying it. The discount didn't hurt. You said did hurt, but didn't hurt as well. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, man. That was fun. We had a good time, and I could have been really hosed early on in that draft in that game. So I was kind of grateful that I didn't get there, but I did a good enough job of not winning that game anyway. But no, I enjoyed that. It wasn't exactly what I expected it to be. Not talking about the live stream, but the game itself, because I mean, when you talk space exploration games, really, my only experience before that were 2 of them, High Frontier and Space Corp, and they couldn't be more different. And so I was thinking more High Frontier than anything, and it was, I guess, sort of like that. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool, and I loved the way the planetary rolling the 11 dice to make your system. I thought that was a really completely unnecessary, but really cool way to do that. And you're guaranteed to have a new system every time. So that was cool. Jonas asks, opinions on the best cube rail games. The best. Non-Aegis themed 18XX train games. I'm looking to add some more trains to my collection, but don't know where to start. Well, for the price point, Irish Gauge is hard to beat. Chicago Express is definitely another one that I would definitely recommend. Those 2 would be probably my best suggestions. If you game with lighter gamers or gamers that are newer to the hobby or aren't super, foamer train gamers, 18XXers or whatever, I would also highly recommend SNCF, or as Queen Games has published it, Paris Connection. I think that is also a excellent, simple introduction to a cube rail game. There's also the Crayon Rail series, but I have no experience with that yet. Hopefully that changes at some point. But yeah, I would say those three would be really good starting points. In no particular order: Irish Gauge, Chicago Express, and SNCF/Paris Connection. There you go. Phil says we tried out the spreadsheet last night. Even with a first timer slowing down the game, we finished 46 in well under 3.5 hours. So it sounds well. Here's my question then, Phil. Without the spreadsheet, how long was your group playing for? Because that will give a little bit more context. But yeah, I think that's. I mean, we showed that it can be a school night game, right? Hey, Con says Alan, Andrew, Ariel, Ken, and I have played Cuba Libre a few times recently. Sometime in the future, we'd like to have some decent experience. We would have some decent experience with Cuba Libre. So possible streaming idea. Awesome. I should get included in that so that I can get that experience to stream it too, Con. And you're welcome, Meeple Overboard. All right, so let's see. Anything else in Slack? No. All right. And I'm caught up with you guys. Really? A 48-minute Ask the Elephant? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, that I'm not expanding on answers too much, or you guys aren't asking the questions, or what? I have a couple questions for you guys then. First, without mentioning the titles that I mentioned about streaming for next week, do those pique your interest? A, do they pique your interest? B, had you heard of all of them? Or were some of them, did you have to go and investigate? Not asking for titles. Don't spoil it for those that don't want to know. Please be respectful of them. Oh boy. I struggle with this, but I'll do my best, Ephriel. Says, Edward, what are some of your favorite fillers of the last couple years? Any new ones to add to your list? Top list that you made a while back. Peat Mats would be a newer one that really enjoyed. I think that was cool. I've only played it once, so I'm not willing to put it on this list. But the game we're going to be streaming Friday afternoon, I really enjoyed it. Now, a number of folks or a handful of folks in the Slack channel have said that it becomes a bit solvable after a few plays. And if so, that's kind of a bummer to hear. I haven't encountered that, but the Shipwreck Arcana, that was a really, really cool logic puzzle. I love logic puzzles, and I'll probably tell that story again during the live stream there that I talked about during the weekly look ahead. While I wouldn't put that on that list after one play, that'd be up there for new and, oh, this is cool. Trying to think. I mean, there's the Climbers and Neue Heimat, or the Estates, right? Still two of my favorite fillers. Oh, here's another one that we haven't streamed yet, but is planned for next month, I think, and that's Hue. H-U-E, Hue. It's Pekka Games. Matt, second place Matt, back in Denver, when he turned me onto this. So it's like Wrigley Spearmint Gum, Pekka game size game that I was quite smitten with. That would be another one that would be that I would recommend. Trying to look over at some of the thank you fillers that I have stashed over there. Trick of the Rails. I love trick-taking games, so I'm partial to those. Yeah, there you go. That lists a handful, at least. All right. Oh, that's funny. I had you muted, so no idea. Fair enough, Ashbourne. All right. And Sean, yes, no. All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap it up early. Cool. All right. Well, I can go check out that email from Level 99 Games and see if we can get that added. If not to the list for that week, maybe the following week. If because I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, as I am wont to do. Wow, that rhymed. That was on accident. Because as it is right now, we have We have 10 games slated for 4 days right now. We may extend that to 5 days, depending on things. So I think trying to fit any more into that might be a bit excessive. Yeah. So may not add it in for, like I said, this week or the next week, as it were. You know what I'm trying to say. Whoo, brain not working. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. I will do, okay. I see it, Adam. Thanks. Appreciate it. I will be in touch. I have not tried Skull King, Efrial. Favorite trick-taking game so far? Wizard for hobby trick-taking games, or possibly, oh God, Tishu. But Wizard is probably, I mean, I grew up playing, I love playing spades, hearts, stuff like that. So I realized that that Tishu is a ladder game. Anyway, I love trick-taking games, and Wizard is one of my favorites, if not the favorite of the hobby trick-taking games that I've played so far. Oh, absolutely, Vincent. Asgard is going to be a future stream. Definitely. I have no idea how I'm going to teach it, but yes, it is definitely going to be a stream. That's awesome to hear, Sean. Says, we'll miss you next week, but thanks to the guild getting some heavy games in with the herd at Gen Con. Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. And on the one hand, I'm bummed. I'm bummed to not be going to Gen Con for that reason specifically, to meet up with folks. But that's it. Oh, yeah, QE. We streamed that back in Denver. I love that. That would also be a excellent filler. And I know that Chad over at Board Game Tables did a newer version, a non-wooden version of QE as well. I've only seen it in when he ran the Kickstarter. I don't have a copy. I have the original. But yeah, QE is fantastic as well. Definitely. Oh, I actually am going to do a top 20 filler, Asbjorn, episode. A solo episode of that. I originally was going to and then didn't. And now for the podcast, that's what's going to happen with that. All right. Well, there you go. So, on a serious note, join us next week for a ridiculous amount of live streams. The podcast will be back on Monday with our review of Pipeline. Greg is joining me for that. We have a couple other reviews lined up as well. We have Ginkopolis. We have Millennium Blades. We have Reef Encounter. And one or two others I'm not thinking about right off. But yeah, join us next week for the live streams live. Help us stay invigorated and motivated. It's going to be a lot of live streams. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So keep us going. Help us spread the word for him as well. We really, really, really would appreciate that, because 10 to 12 live streams in the span of 4 or 5 days is ambitious. So get excited. I'm excited. Help me stay excited. You hear what I'm saying. So if you guys like and subscribe down below. You want to get us closer to PTZ camera, join the herd. You also get benefits like joining the Slack channel. Oh, one other big thing for all our patrons out there, the 744 there of y'all. The patron reward survey is scheduled to go out this weekend. Adam, who you see in chat there, is helping out with that. So keep an eye out for that. So if you choose to become a member of the herd, a patron, you will also get benefits for doing so, tangible rewards that are finally getting caught up on. So yay. That's about it. Yeah, you can go pledgehc.com to support the show there. Also, one other technical snafu issue that we are still working on. The SSL certificate, I think is the right word. This is above me. This is not me. We are aware of the issue. It is getting addressed. It's a access issue that we are struggling with right now, and it's safe, I promise. But yeah, that's the issue with the podcast right now. So just be aware that we're hoping to have that cleared out before the new episode drops on Monday. So there we go. All right. So I will see you guys Friday at noon, and then Friday night, and then Saturday, and then a whole lot next week. Going to be a lot of fun. Join us then. I will catch you all then. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Hopefully I helped chew up an hour of your workday, and I'll catch you all on Friday. Take care, everybody.